So now I want to jump into the product line items tab. So a lot of companies will actually quote using line items, obviously. So in this case, if we're selling multi-gas detectors to a construction site while they're building a Walmart, for example, we can actually add that as a product line on the opportunity. So we're pulling from price list A right now. Price lists pretty much give you the ability to sell the same products at different prices based on different scenarios. So let's say, for example, we're selling to a company that we've done work with for 20 years and they get a 10% discount on multi-gas detectors because they've been such a long-standing client. We would put them on the 10% discount or long-standing client price list, and the products that you add to that price list may be discounted by 10% for the specific opportunities or accounts that have been associated to that price list. So in this case, we're going to use pricing A, and we're going to add a product. So there's two ways that you can add products. You can either add existing products or you can add write-in products. So I'm going to show you with a existing product first. So as you can see, I'm going to look up from an existing product catalog on the back end, and I'm going to see multi-gas detectors here. And I'm obviously going to have a unit of multi-gas detectors. So this is each. If I was selling Coca-Cola beverages, this would be in liters as opposed to each. But no, we're selling individual units here. We have a choice to override the price or use the default price that's attached to this product on the specific price list that we're dealing with. In this case, we're just going to use the default. If you wanted to override it, you could go 900 and then click enter, and it would be $900 as opposed to 1,000. But we'll just use the default. We have a quantity. So let's say they need 20 of these for our warehouse based on the building plans that they provided our company. And then we can get tax and things like that to automatically calculate based off of what's put in the system. I don't have anything set up in the back end of the system for a tax rate because, you know, it all depends on where you're based out of. But we could add tax if we wanted to, or get that to automatically calculate. We save and close this now, and it is actually going to add a line item to my opportunity. So as you can see, it's also totaled up the totals. So we're going price per unit is 1,000. We have quantity 20, and it's actually going to give me the extended amount, including the $130 tax that I added on. You can also see that information here, and you can add discounts. So if I wanted to add a 10% discount, or I could add a dollar amount discount here if I wanted to. I can add freight amount in. So if you're working with Business Central or another ERP system and we have a connection between the two, we can actually pull that freight amount information in, you know, if there's a specific multiplier or whatever that you use for freight. There's various ways that we can go about that. So I'm going to save this record now. Oh, it's already saved. And I'm actually going to generate a quote. So one thing that I want to mention about a quote, the quote is the actual information that you're going to send to the customer. You don't want the customer to see all the information on the opportunity record, including things on the summary and things like that. So we're going to create a separate quote record. And there's another reason why you want to do this. Sometimes when you're working on an opportunity, you're going to go through 2, 3, 4, sometimes 10 versions of quotes before that customer actually signs on the dotted line. So creating a quote record actually lets you create a quote that's a snapshot in time. You can click the new quote button at any time and generate this record as many times as you want as the data changes on your opportunity record. But the quote will actually have a unique ID. It will have a date that this quote was created. You can set an effective from and an effective to date if you're giving the customer a deadline as to when they need to sign off by. There's a lot of things that you can do with the quote record. But once again, the important piece of information to note is this is a snapshot in time. That is what differentiates it from your opportunity record. Now, from here, you can have information like your shipping method. So if we're shipping via UPS, you can have payment terms, freight terms. So in this case, it's freight on board, address that we're shipping to, address that we're billing to, and we can get this to automatically calculate based off of what's specified on the opportunity record if you would like. And maybe a little bit of a description if you want to write a message to the customer that's going to go on the quote. So now that we have this quote, we can activate this quote as the current active quote, because as I mentioned, we may have multiple quotes that act in a snapshot of time. You want to actually activate this quote and make it the primary quote that is out for review with the customer. And as you can see, once we send it off to the customer, this record becomes read only because, you know, we don't want anybody changing this because it's a snapshot in time now. So from here, we can export this to PDF. We can use Word templates to generate these quotes. So this isn't going to be the prettiest template in the world because it's, you know, there's no graphics or anything like that. but you can use a Word template with your own branding and things like that, and actually map the fields back into CRM that are on the Word template. And give me a second here, my Word's firing up. Perfect. So now we have a quote that was generated based off of what we had. We had multi-gas detectors. We had 20 as the quantity. We had a unit price of $1,000, which gives us our grand total, the total due. You can have your company's terms and conditions down here. You can have your logo and branding at the top. Anything that you can build out in a Word template is acceptable because we upload that Word template to Dynamics. We map those fields back, and we essentially, you just click create the quote template from a Word template, and that's how it generates this. Very, very simple. We can email this off through the system as well automatically. The button is not available here, but you can actually generate this, export it to PDF, and send the email out to the customer as well, if that is what you want to do. So that's a little bit about the quote record.